Hello and good morning. Welcome back to Traveling McGee. This is part 2 of my Chesapeake Bay road trip. So if you watched my first video, you'll know that I just kind of did the northeastern part of the upper Delmarva Peninsula. I was up at the top, up at Turkey Point, worked my way all the way down through some beautiful towns in Maryland, on the eastern shore of Maryland. Beautiful, beautiful town. Saw some really cool lighthouses and some different things, a couple of wildlife refuges. Now I am in the great state of Virginia. I made my way down into Virginia. I'm still here on the Delmarva Peninsula on the eastern side of the Chesapeake Bay. For this video, I'm going to be getting ready to cross over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, which I'll be talking about here in this video. Kind of getting into a little bit of Norfolk, and then up into a couple different points of interest before I end this video. However, for today, I am here at Kipto Peak State Park, pretty much all the way down on the peninsula. There is a campground here, there's a beach here, a couple different trails that we can do. The weather has changed drastically, so it is Sunday and it is very cold now and very windy. I've had a couple days of some pretty muggy, warmish weather, 80s during the day. It's about 65 degrees right now. It's very windy, very cold, but that's okay. My first stop here in Kipto Peak is going to be their beach area, which is directly here on the bay. It is quite a large beach, actually. It goes around, looks like, for a little bit. But one thing that I found that was really cool is they have 2 artificial breakwaters here just off the beach area. And the breakwaters are actually these old concrete ships. Now, I don't know why they're here. I don't know much about their history, but I'm hoping that I can learn a little bit more. I think there's a couple markers over there, so let's go see what they say. How cool. So apparently these ships were used during World War II, and they were placed here in 1948 as to just form like some type of wildlife barrier for birds and different type of sea life, and they have been here ever since. You can see it behind me there, but there's 2 main sections, one there and one right there. Pretty cool. There's birds all over them, so I'm sure there's tons of different animals that call them home. Out of the wind, and that was a nice little walk there on the beach. So there's 2 beaches, it seems like. One is more designated for swimming and the other is more designated for fishing. Get a little bit better view of the boats, the breakwater concrete ships that I was talking about. I'll flip it around here. You can see, so this is the main parking area, and to the right down this fence line here is the entrance down to the beach, and the beach is just right there, and then it extends pretty far out there up around that little curve, and you can still see the ships there on the left. So pretty cool little spot to swim. Not a lot of shells, not a lot of stones. It looked really sandy, so probably a really great place to swim, especially during the summer. The campground is not too far away. I think it's about maybe half a mile. There is an entrance fee for this park. It was $7 for me. I don't know if that's because I was out of state or if that's just a flat rate. They do take credit cards, not just cash, so that's always good. So right now I'm going to check out some of the trails that they have here. According to this, it looks like maybe about 4 to 5 miles total of different types of hiking trails. I'm going to be doing one called the Taylor Pond Trail, and I think I'm going to make a little loop out of it, which should be about a mile in total in conjunction with some other trails. So I'm gonna go try and find the trailhead. Well, that was a very nice and relaxing and peaceful, beautifully quiet trail, really flat, sandy. Took you out to that little pond area, which if you read that little marker, it said that that was dug out, and some of the material that they dug out was used for the actual Chesapeake Bay Bridge. And then sometime in the 70s or 80s, the musician James Taylor, I guess, donated some money to reclaim this part of the park. I'm not sure, but I thought that was pretty cool, and that's why it's named Taylor's Pond Trail. So pretty cool. A little bit of a nice walk. Lots of birds, lots of butterflies. Beautiful day. The wind is a little bit less intense up here in the woods, so that was really nice. But I'm going to do one more thing before I head out of the park and get onto the bridge. I'm going to drive around the campground, see what that looks like, show everybody else, and then I'll be on my merry way. So let's go see what the campground looks like. Since Columbus Day is tomorrow, so everybody has a 3-day weekend. Everything is on grass, so I do not see any type of pavement where you can park a camper. So keep that in mind. Lots of people here. You can boat here as well. There is a loading dock. I know kayaking and canoeing seem to be a popular pastime here. I don't think it would be today because it's so windy, but I will say the sites are pretty close together. If you're in an RV, it might not be that big of a deal, but very close together. So I have made it to the Eastern Shore Visitor Center. This is actually where I spent the night last night, and I actually had a great night's sleep, and it was very quiet. Tons of parking here. Lots of tractor trailers use this parking lot for overnights and stuff like that. There is a 24-hour restroom here, as well as some drinks and snacks if you want them. But this is right at the beginning. This is right at the northern portion of the Bay Bridge. Just a couple quick facts about the Bay Bridge. I'm pretty fascinated by it because it's just this huge thing that you have to traverse to get from the Delmarva Peninsula down into the Norfolk, Virginia beach area. But just a couple of quick facts for you. The bridge is 17.6 miles long from top to bottom, and 2 of those miles are actually underground. There are 2 tunnels that are located on the bridge, so at one point you are about 20 to 30 feet above the water, and then the next minute you're about 50 to 60 feet below the water. Boats are able to pass above you. So I thought that was pretty cool. The bridge system was opened in 1964, and at that time it was dubbed as one of the 7 engineering wonders of the world. So considered the longest overwater bridge in the world. So pretty cool. In 1964, this was quite a feat to bridge 2 major pieces of land. Initially, it was just a 2-lane highway, and then in 1999, they were able to develop a secondary bridge, kind of running parallel to the original system, which opened up to 2 lanes going north, 2 lanes going south. There is a toll to get across the bridge. It's quite steep. It's about $17 per car. You can use cash or credit card, or you can use your Easy Pass and zip right on through. So that's what I'm going to do. What I'm gonna try to do is kind of do like a time-lapse video, and then we'll head into Virginia Beach. So let's go. right, and we just drove across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge that was 17.6 miles long, again 2 miles of which are underwater. But now I am in Virginia Beach exploring First Landing State Park, which is another state park here in Virginia. This is a pretty historical place. One of the first recorded landing spots here on the Chesapeake Bay. And the park is kind of split in two by the highway. So on the northern side of the park is all about the beach. The other part is about a huge network of trails. A lot of trail systems here. I would say 20 plus miles worth of different trails that you can hike. I don't think I'm going to be doing that. I'd like to walk out onto the beach and get some sun and get my toes in the water maybe for a little bit. Also, fun fact, so this is another pay park. You do have to pay to get in. There is a fee. I asked if the parking pass that were up at Kipto Peak would work here. She didn't really know, but she let me in anyway. So I don't know if that's a thing. Don't hold me to that. I do not promise that. If you visit one state park, it's good at all state parks. I do not know. But on this chance, she let me in, so I just wanted to mention that. So what makes First Landing State Park so significant is because in the 1600s, a group of 150 men from England, from the Virginia Company, made their way through parts of South America, up the coast, and they made their first landing here in the Virginia, Maryland area, right here at First Landing. From here, they took a few days rest and then made their way up the James River to the Jamestown settlement, which you can visit. There's also Colonial Williamsburg and the little town of Yorktown, which was very significant during the Revolutionary War. So again, just a very historically significant part of the Chesapeake Bay. This is the bottom of the bay. From here, if you go east, you will be in the Atlantic Ocean. If you go west from here, you'll go through small little river inlets, just as I mentioned, like the James River. It takes you to a lot of historical places here in Virginia, which I highly recommend. That's too much to fit into one video. It's still very windy here, so I apologize if you can't hear me, but I'm gonna walk around here for a little bit and probably after that call it a day and make it to the Cracker Barrel that I will be staying at for this evening, and then we'll pick up tomorrow. All right, well, welcome back as we start day number 6. And I'm in a little city called Hampton, and I'm now at a place called Fort Monroe National Historic Site. I think I'm saying that right. It's kind of like a whole island called Fort Monroe. In the middle there is a fortified old fort that you can take tours of. Now today is Columbus Day, so no federal buildings are open, unfortunately. It is a national monument, so unfortunately all the visitor centers and the museum is closed here, but you can still walk around the grounds. This is an active island. People live here. People live inside the fort. My goal for while I'm here is to just kind of see what I can see. There's a couple major different things here. There is a lighthouse here. There is also a marker to the first African slaves that were brought here. They were first brought by ship to this point and to this spot of land. And so they have a historical marker set up there for that. There's a whole pier that you can walk. So I'm excited. I'm going to get my shoes on and go for a walk. All right, so just a little quick history about the fort. It was completed in 1834, and it is the largest stone fort in the United States. According to their brochure here, the location was vital to the coastal defenses of the Chesapeake Bay, which is right behind me. And in 2011, President Obama designated Fort Monroe as a national monument. This was the first time he used his office to dedicate a historical place, so that's pretty cool. There's a walking tour that you can take. They give you little pamphlets here. There is a museum. It's called the Casemate Museum. I believe it highlights some of the artillery pieces that were used here. But as we look out across the bottom portion of the Chesapeake Bay here, actually the bottom portion is more over there, and that direction is Virginia Beach. And as we come up north, just across this flat part here is the Norfolk Navy Base, a massive military installment here at the bottom of the bay. Langley is, I believe, up that way. So again, a lot of military presence here, even around Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, a lot of military type folks and just a very large presence here, so that's pretty cool. So I am now standing in an area known as the Parade Grounds, and you can see it's this big open flat grassy area where there would have been ceremonies and gatherings and assemblies, but it is completely foreshadowed by this massive building here behind me. Just huge. I'm still in the fort. This is in the middle of the fort, and just these massive buildings here on either side. And from what I've been able to learn is this was at one time some type of military school after World War II. So I guess a lot of these structures, these bigger structures, would have been used for the school. That might have even gone into before World War II. I'm not 100% sure, but just an absolutely massive structure here right in the middle of the fort. This is a huge 500-year-old live oak tree in front of some of the private residences here, just off of the parade area. There's some really beautiful houses here. So one thing that I've actually found very interesting about this fort and unique is you have to drive over the moat to get inside. This is the main gate area, but there are 3 or 4 different gates to get in. Very, very narrow, but I'm going to show you what the other side looks like. So here's the large moat area that encompasses the entire fort. Goes all the way around, about 10 feet deep. And here's the main entrance. This is the main gate. I think there are 4. But there could be less, I'm not sure. Here is the historic landmark plaque, dedicated in 1961. And there is also a small plaque up there. I'm not really sure what it says, but yeah, there's traffic lights and everything. And like I said, it is very, very narrow. Look at this thing. Holy cow. This was the first 15-inch Rodman gun. Its range was more than 4 miles. Weight of this projectile was over 300 pounds. During the Civil War, it was used to bombard Confederate batteries on Sewell's Point. The gun was named for President Lincoln in 1862. Holy cow. Oh, what men will come up with to kill each other. Jeez. Wow. So if you come and visit Fort Monroe and you come up to the main kind of rampart area, you will notice that you will see a bunch of these little headstones. This was basically military personnel. This is where they buried their family pets. So you can say this one, I believe, says Binger dog, 1976. There's another one here for Lucy, and they're all around. They are all around. I must have counted about 60 or 70 so far, and they just keep popping up. So I thought that was a pretty cool little tribute to the life that existed here at one time, and the comfort of having a family pet and knowing that it's buried somewhere nearby. A little piece of history that I found pretty interesting about the fort. Abraham Lincoln spent the night at the fort on a couple different occasions. General Lee was stationed at the fort during the construction of the fort during the 1830s. So that was pretty cool that he has his history there as well. His oldest grandson, I believe that's what the park ranger said, was born there at the fort. So that's pretty cool. And after the Civil War ended, Fort Monroe is where they imprisoned Jefferson Davis for 2 years. So it's very interesting. 3 major players during the Civil War all share that kind of commonality, which is Fort Monroe. So I highly recommend it. It's a pretty cool place. It is a massive fort. Again, it's the largest stone fort in the United States. Most forts here on the East Coast that I have seen are all brick. So it's pretty cool to see a different construction style. Now here at Bethel Beach Natural Area. This is just kind of like a little nature preserve here right along the bay. I just found this place on Google Maps, and a lot of the reviews said that it was a really secluded and quiet and peaceful place to just enjoy the beach and you know, some birds and things like that. But the reviews definitely do it justice. This is a beautiful place. There is no one here. Seeing lots of crabs. I'm seeing lots of hermit crabs, lots of oyster shells, clam shells, things like that. So just a really cool place to walk around. Here's a little hermit crab. You can see him in there. Just a little guy. Here's another hermit crab. I don't know if you can see him moving there a little bit. Eating away. Here's a nice big one. Yeah. Really sucked up in there. Pretty shell. But seriously, I am the only person here. Look around. There's nobody here. It's awesome. Oh, it's so peaceful. Nice to just, one of my favorite things to do is look for shells, and I like to kind of wade around in shallower water. It's just nice to be out in nature and listen to the birds and hear the waves. Nice breeze. Pretty good way to end the day. And so with that, I want to thank everybody for making it to the end of another very long video. Today we checked out 2 Virginia state parks. We explored Fort Monroe National Historic Site. We drove across the Bay Bridge. We had a little bit of fun playing around here at Bethel Beach. And now I'm just excited to see what happens here in part 3. So stay tuned. Thank you again for sticking it out to the end of another video. And until I see you again, take care.